Hey guys, and welcome back to the Men's Forum,
Your guide to be a better man.
where we talk about everything to do with mental health, fitness, and finances, and anything else to help you navigate through life as a man. Today, we're going to be talking about navigating the world of women because Shalene over here is a pro. You're married. I am a very single Pringle.
Oh, it's not that bad. It's not that bad.
No, it's not that bad. No, but seriously, single men, like, they don't like being single.
Yeah, because everyone around them is probably in a relationship.
In a relationship, right?
Yeah. And social media is now like a validation that, hey,
yeah,
couples would, it somehow triggers you that, hey, you also want to be in a relationship.
in a relationship. So like I know I do say like I'm a single Pringle, but I'm happy being a single Pringle. I don't let these things affect me. But of course, at the end of the day, I know that one of my goals is to, get married, settle down, have kids. And of course, in order to do that, I have to not be single.
Yeah.
But it's something that I want, but I don't need in my
Yeah.
life at the moment. But I think this conversation and why we came up with the topic is because I think men out there and me want to learn from you because your journey with women has been an interesting one. Look at that laugh. But I'm sure it's been a journey of learning as well.
For sure.
And you're a married man now, and all the partners that you've kind of been with, they've left like a nugget of knowledge with you that you've been able to apply in your relationship right now. That it can be the best relationship of your life.
No, but as you said, being single is very fine.
Yeah.
I think I had taken some time off as well, knowing that sometimes you could even be the problem, just not necessarily the other person.
Yeah.
And what I learned is when I could be by myself and I could be happy by myself, that's when things started getting smoother.
But before we get to your lessons, are you open to sharing kind of what your journey has been like in the dating world?
Oh yeah, for sure. So I had a very long-term high school relationship, and then it ended up being long distance, and it kind of went toxic in a very bad way for both ends. And somehow we figured out that, hey, some part of it was me, some part of it was her. I think after that, it triggered a bad phase of my life where now this is where like you are with one person for a very long period of time. Now you're out here in the world, you're like the lion and all the lionesses are available. So now you're just doing short-term relationships, which are some you'd really learn out of and some would really be like, hey, what are you doing? So I can say like 3 or 4 years of doing the temporary relationships and satisfying my ego didn't really help me. Then I took some time off. I'm like, hey, I really need to settle. Like I'm going through so many, I can't even say part-time relationships.
I want to clarify for our men out there. Were you doing one night stands?
No, I wasn't doing one night stands.
Okay.
Right? But this was like more of you get to know the person for a night or two. You'd probably make out and then because your ego is satisfied, then you're moving to the next.
But you still felt kind of like an emptiness, a pain
of course,
inside.
every single time I feel so empty, but it was a validation to my man ego that, hey, you're a man now, right? Because that's how society has put it, or our generation, how we grew up, right? Around the men around us, that the more women you are, the bigger man you are.
Yeah.
And
which isn't the case that you know now.
No, it's not. Yeah. It's not. So I think you're a bigger man when you stick to one woman, to be honest. But so I took a step back, self-reflected, and I'm like, hey, am I really doing the right thing? Like, to be honest, am I really doing the right thing? No, I wasn't. Okay, fine. It was mutual on both ends. So something that triggered me to stop. So there was a woman that I was seeing, and she did not tell me she had someone.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Then a couple of days later, I find out she actually cheated on her boyfriend. That was a very big trigger for me. I'm like, what if I put myself in that guy's shoes?
Wait, how long were you seeing her before you kind of found out?
A couple of weeks, right?
Okay.
On my conscious, I'm like, I would have never done that, knowing what she did and knowing that she's hurting the other person. And then I think that triggers made me stop. Like all my stupid actions with it within like going out and doing all this stuff. Then I got into a relationship. It went on well for a while, and then I did everything. You know, I was the hopeless romantic, went all out, and then I understood that this is who I am. Like, I want something that is solid for a very long term, and I don't want to fuck around,
Yeah.
right? And turned out to be, probably it was karma. I don't know. She ended up cheating on me, right?
Oh.
And she just didn't cheat on me with one guy, but with several guys. Okay.
Oh my.
So again, that put a downfall on me. I went through this phase that I don't trust anyone, I don't trust women, and blah blah blah. Then after I think a year, I'm like, okay, let me get back.
Were you dry that year? Or were you meeting women?
No, I wasn't meeting anyone. I wasn't talking to anyone. If I was talking to any woman, it was probably my friends or just like having normal conversations. But there was no flirting, no attempts on
Okay.
having any kind of relationship, mental, physical, sexual, nothing. Then after having a gap of a year-ish, I saw someone on Instagram who I hadn't seen in years, and we knew of each other. And then I just said, hey, how's it going? Hope you're doing well, blah blah blah. And then again, that relationship prospered well in the start. She ended up cheating as well. So it was like one lesson, second lesson on a very hardcore note that is there something wrong with me? So I went into a deep analysis of what am I doing wrong, nothing. And then I just realized it was bad luck with me, right? It wasn't on me because I was good to them. I made sure they were doing fine. I kept their families like they were my family. I'd even do better for their family than my family. Of course, as a man, when you get cheated on, your ego gets hurt, your self-esteem goes rock bottom. And then I decided I don't want anything, right? And I think on an earlier episode we spoke about manifesting. And I told myself, I want a woman who's got good qualities, who's going to support me, who's going to take care of me. And of course, if we're living with my family, and who has good values. That is something I never seeked in a woman. Good values.
Okay.
Okay.
So you're just getting with women who, I don't know if, would it be right to say that were just hot?
I think I was just looking at physical
physical attributes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't looking at if their mental state of mind, if they're good, if they're toxic, if they're smart, what's their intellect level, family values, probably just general good system values of what someone should have in their life. So I was looking for good traits and stuff, of course. And then, yes, I'd meet people, and you know me, I go out on a Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, and I come across a lot of people. But I would speak to people and I'd be like, am I really having a good conversation? Is the energy great? And when I started learning about energies and stuff, I realized that I would meet women and the energies are off. I'm not even lying to you. Like, I'd meet them and be like, oh my God.
Yeah,
What is this? Right? And I'm not flirting, nothing. And I'm still like, I don't want to get into dating. I don't want to date anyone. I just want to focus on me right now and like hit to the gym and, be at work, focus on other things that are going to make me grow as a person. Then COVID happened. My wife and I went to the same primary school. So we used to sit next to each other in school. So our moms used to bring us lunch, we'd sit next to each other. So in 2016, 2017, I was going through this cuckoo phase of meeting women here and there. We had bumped into each other, we met. But at that time, for me, everything was temporary. It was like moving from here to there, and it didn't work out. So I was off social media, like all my social media accounts were deactivated, everything. And now this is the stage of COVID where there's no vaccine, people didn't know what to do, so you have to be in the house. Quarantine for a month. So I got back on Facebook. And then I saw a couple of people online. I'm like, hey, how's it going? Blah, 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 and stuff. So according to my wife, I slid into her DMs. So yeah, then me and Janelle, like we said, speaking, and one thing led to another, and we were married. But what I manifested somehow led to what I really, really wanted. And we met, we were having good conversations. The energy was perfect. When we started talking, there was no intention of like, hey, this is going somewhere. It was just like, hey, we're talking, how's it going, blah, blah, blah. Then the intentions kind of developed after a few months.
Okay.
But we didn't rush things through, right? And this is where I kind of realized that patience is a very important game, because if you're not patient, you will not learn the person, right? And it's very important to learn that person if you are really compatible with them or not, right? Not just your star signs.
Yeah. Just
So, yeah, and we understood that we're compatible with each other because we're total opposites, right? And that took time. And something where men lack right now is like not giving time and understanding the other person. And also, I realized that there is a phase where you have to compromise to make them happy, and so do they have to compromise to make you happy. And if both of you are mindful about that, it works out. Like, that is when you have a healthy relationship. Now, if it was one-sided, where if I wanted to steer the relationship, it would have been toxic for her.
Yeah.
Or if she wanted the relationship to go her way, it would have been toxic for
you. Yeah.
for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's how my journey has been, to be honest. And of course, yes, you learn so much throughout your life when you meet different people. Sometimes you'll be like, oh shit, maybe it would have worked out with her, maybe it would have worked out with her, maybe. But it actually works out with the person you're meant to be.
Yeah.
And people think it's bullshit, but I feel like in the span of our life, I've met her so many times. That is one person I never thought I'm going to end up with.
Okay.
Right?
Wow.
So it's so
Yeah,
funny, right?
yeah.
I never thought this is the person I'm going. So I always kept making wrong choices to lead to the right one.
Lead to the right one. And I mean, it's credible for you to say such a thing, because you've met and you've met so many women over your period of time. And I mean, I've seen some of the girls that you've met; they are fine. And then, of course, when I ask you about them, you're like, don't even go there.
Yeah, don't even go there.
So like, you don't even think from a place of like physical look.
Yeah.
You know the deeper mental requirements and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's very credible hearing that from you. But just kind of for the single dudes out there and for myself, right? In terms of just, let's say, we want to go out there, we want to meet people. There's a lot of guys that are super shy from talking to women.
Yourself.
I'm not shy. You think I'm shy. You think I'm shy.
You were an introvert. You were an introvert once upon a time. Yeah?
I was. My entire high school life, I could not talk to women for anything. But then A-levels, it changed. I became not a Casanova, but like I became really good at being friend zoned, but at least talking to women.
Yeah.
But yeah, in your experience, if someone's out there, they want to look for a relationship, how can they put themselves out there so that they can meet people or women? And how can they, because it's very difficult for, you see a pretty girl, a lot of men won't go and approach. So that's where I'm getting with this question. Do you have some tips for guys to kind of navigate that?
So I used to have icebreakers, when I used to do this.
Icebreakers.
All I'll ask him is, how's your night going?
Okay.
Okay. Or for example, if you're in a group setting, you'll be like, how are you doing? Or what brings you here? So there's these trigger questions where a conversation starts, right? But when the conversation starts, don't let it not be about yourself. Let it be about, if you're trying to get to know her, then let it be about her, right? And the setting around you. Because what happens is, let's be real, men want to keep talking about themselves.
Yeah.
Oh, I have this, I can do this, I'm working here, I'm doing this, and half the time men are lying.
Yeah.
Yeah? We lie about, be yourself, don't lie. Trust me.
Just be yourself.
Because the moment you lie, you forget about the lie.
Yeah.
And in case if that was to move forward,
Yeah.
you will forget about that lie. When you're yourself, your true self, you will always remember what you've done, where you come from, or what you say. And if the person respects that, and if it keeps going on, then it's going to be a very easy journey. I do understand that right now with women and men, sometimes it gets difficult, right? But trust the process.
Yeah.
Let me not lie to you, trust the process. The more conversations you'll have, the more you learn, but always put the woman first. And in terms of give her respect, give her attention, and that is what they seek.
Yeah.
attention, like positive attention. It doesn't necessarily mean throw money on them. No, be there mentally for them, spiritually for them.
But
Also
that's in terms of like a relationship,
relationship.
right? I'm just talking about like meeting women. I mean, you can't be there for someone spiritually when you just met her on
Okay,
like night
true,
one, right?
true. No,
But I like how you've mentioned. I like how you've mentioned that when you meet them, you kind of get them to talk instead of you talking. You learn about their inner world, right? And I think they really appreciate that because a lot of men out there, they're just like they try, and they speak so much shit. Do you think that's kind of related to all this pressure that if a guy sees an attractive woman, there's all this pressure on him that that's the only woman, and if I don't say the right words, I'm not going to be with anyone, so I have to make sure this interaction is going to be.
the moment you force it, it's not going to work out.
Yeah.
Because even at the back of your mind, you'll be like, think about it. If she's very hot, you'll have like 50 guys hitting on her that night,
Yeah.
right? She would not even be interested. You'll try force yourself to have a conversation. It's not going to work out, right? But that's why I try find group settings where it's a friend's friend or something. So it's easier to sit and have a conversation. Because the most important thing is having that first conversation.
Yeah.
Think about it, the first impression.
Yeah, the first impression.
Your first impression is what sells yourself.
Yeah.
Anything, right? Even if it's in a relationship, in a business meeting, whatever, it's yourself. And if you are yourself, and if she doesn't like who you are, then it's never going to even work out.
Yeah,
right?
it's not going to
true.
work out in the first place.
So
Yeah, for
that's
sure.
why be yourself, and have your trigger questions should be where you're opening up the conversation.
So
like more and more.
not a funny pickup line.
No, don't do a pickup line. Don't do a
No
pickup
pickup
line.
lines,
Yeah,
guys.
don't
There's
do
no
pickup
pickup lines on the
No,
men's
yeah,
forum
yeah,
space
yeah.
anymore. They don't work.
do them after you're married. My wife still gives me pickup lines every morning, so that
Yeah,
that
I
works.
mean that's cute at that point. No, but I like how you've mentioned that meeting women would be a better dynamic to meet them in a group setting or a
Yeah.
friendly setting,
Setting,
rather
yeah.
than, I think a club setting is more of just like sexual act and that's it.
And also, you don't know if the person is drunk. You probably
Yeah.
drunk, and you want to have a good
You wanna have a good, decent-
first conversation, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Think about it. You might be drunk. She might be drunk, and both of you don't remember what you said.
Yeah,
Then that's a
it
waste,
just doesn't
right?
help.
Yeah.
It's a huge waste. And especially coming from you when you're talking about you want to dive deeper into the mentality of the girl,
other person, yes.
right? So yeah, it just makes more sense to meet them when you're in a group setting.
So think about it, like the wedding we went for, right?
Yeah.
A couple of weeks ago. We had so many conversations with so many people,
Yeah,
and you probably had so many conversations with the single women who were present,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
At some extent, what do you think? Like, would it be better to be in such a setting?
I would definitely much appreciate a group setting. I just feel like a club setting, it's so loud and you can't have a decent conversation unless you take the person aside. But then the thing is, you have to break that barrier and they have to be open enough to like, move to a quieter spot to actually have a conversation. But then in kind of like, the pickup artist world or even the club world, from my experience at least, is like you need to escalate fast in a club setting. And it's like, I don't want to escalate. I just want to get to know you and I want to see if like a relationship is actually possible here.
But let's not limit it to a club, right? Or a group setting or anything.
No, I'm just comparing the two
yeah,
settings.
yeah.
I'm just comparing the
Of late, we have the apps, right? We met a couple who met on
an app.
Bumble, right?
Oh yeah.
And they're doing fantastic,
Yeah.
right? So probably that is how they were meant to be. And there are
Yeah.
people who
Have
are
you
getting...
ever met anyone through?
I have met a couple, some really good people. Like we didn't work out in terms of like sexually or in terms of flirting with each other or anything. I'm still friends with a couple of people that I've met through there who have very good posts in very good businesses, who have, good networking.
So you used it for networking.
Well,
You used Bumble for networking.
So that at that time it was Tinder, right? So I used Tinder for like networking, and a couple of them are like in other countries. And if I ever need to move to another country or like go there to travel, I know people. And I think like where we are right now in Arabi, like people use Tinder and Bumble like to have general conversations, not like how it is in other countries where it's a one night stand.
Yeah.
And So you can always practice. Yes, you can use the apps. You can use there are platforms these days where people do single meetups. I think I sent you one and you're like, are you stupid?
Oh wait,
Uh,
the flash dating thing.
yeah, something like that. Oh, the speed dating
The
thing.
speed dating.
thing. Yeah.
I wanted to try that out. I
Yeah.
think it's like such a wonderful opportunity.
And it's not bad.
It's not
So I
bad.
have a friend
Yeah.
who's met someone and who's married to her through speed dating.
Through speed dating.
So it's not bad,
Yeah.
right? So right now, because all our lives are so busy, and I think any avenue to probably meet the person you're meant to be is not wrong. Like even
Yeah.
if today if someone tells you, "Oh, I married a woman who I met on Tinder,"
Yeah.
it's not wrong.
And you shouldn't judge yourself
Yeah,
for
of
it.
course, of course. And
Because again, like that's destiny, right? You meet people in the most random way, and if you were to meet on Tinder, it's just another opportunity in the world to meet the love of your life.
True.
Right? The world has just been opened up so much.
True.
But again, I'm going to dive down to your tactics and your skills because you're the lover boy here. If someone's trying for someone on Tinder or Bumble or whatever, or like you swipe right and they swipe right back, is that how it works, or swipe left?
No, it's right.
Something like
right,
that.
yeah.
Anyways, how would you kind of open with that? How would you kind of navigate that in the past?
No, back in the day, I would
We're looking for your player skills. We don't care about your relationship skills. Your game is over
so
right
back
now.
in the day, I'd send a pizza slice emoji. That's
Oh,
it.
okay. Huh.
And she would be like question mark. I was about to send you a cheesy line, but how about a coffee?
So you did start with a pickup line. Look at this guy.
This was back in the lover boy times,
Yeah.
But then after that, it was just more like, hey, how are you? And then just see how the conversation goes.
Yeah.
Right. And it wasn't. So it comes to a point in your life where you realize that you don't want a one night stand. You don't want this temporary shit.
Yeah.
So and then when it came to Tinder, it was like, yeah, you meet them for coffee and you see how the energy is and if it can go further. Some will go further as friendship.
Yeah.
Some will go further probably as let's try this out, or some will not work out at all.
Yeah.
And where some of those friendships are good friendships, right? And trust me, if what went further works out.
Yeah.
And for some people it works out.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's the most important thing. I think why I keep emphasizing on having good conversations is because the moment two people gel and meet on the same wavelength, then you're moving forward.
Yeah.
Yeah. And something that I've learned 2 weeks ago from a very close friend of mine is play the shoe game. What's the shoe game? You put yourself
That's navigating relationships.
Yeah.
That's
no,
navigating
but still,
relationships.
trust me. Even when you're trying to, let's say, if you're desiring that person to be your girlfriend or your wife, X, Y, Z, you need to also put them in the shoe game because they'll be like, hey, you're 5 minutes late, and I appreciate people who keep time.
Yeah.
Now you play the shoe game. Yes, she's annoyed because you didn't. Number one, why
So
is she
could you
annoyed?
just quickly describe to them what the shoe game is?
So the shoe game is basically putting yourself in a conflict for 5 seconds in their shoes,
Okay.
right? So the moment the conflict is raised, you'll be like, hey, okay, she's raised the conflict that you're late for 5 minutes and she's not happy about it. She's disappointed. Before you, as a man, before you start reacting, think about that for 5 seconds that why is she mad? She's mad because she took her time. Because of course women take their time to get ready, and there's a lot of effort that goes through it.
Yeah, of course.
Right? Which not all men see it.
Yeah.
Right? So she took her time to get ready. She was downstairs on time. And then you go pick her up, let's say, not 5 minutes, let's be realistic, like 30 minutes later. She's going to be annoyed.
Of course, yeah, of course.
So you as the man, instead of saying, oh, there's trying to be like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I wish, it's stepping into I understand the way you're coming from. That resolves the matter. And the same thing goes the other way around, where you practice this and you find balance.
Yeah.
Because if you always want the upper hand, it's not going to work.
No, of
it
course
doesn't
not.
work.
You need to understand that.
Because you as a man will be like, dude, there was traffic. What do you want me to do? Right?
Yeah.
And that's how literally, that's how a man would react. Like, you want me to fly over the car?
Yeah.
I don't have a helicopter. You'll make a shady comment and you'll try and move on from it. But These are the things. If
It
you,
kind of causes a dent
yeah,
in your dynamic when you do that.
yeah,
You really need to understand the other
yeah,
person's inner world.
yeah,
Yeah.
and also as a man, you need to self-reflect that can you handle a relationship.
What do you mean by that?
A lot of men out there will say, okay, I want a girlfriend, I want a wife, I want a partner, but they cannot handle relationships. I have friends who've tried several relationships, but they don't work out because of them, because they've not resolved their underlying issues within themselves. They've not solved probably the traumas that they've been through, just not necessarily relationships, or probably they don't know how to balance, let's say, work life, relationship. So when you understand all of these things, including making sure that who you are as a person, you're happy with who you are, that's when all these things will gel together and your relationship
Will
will
thrive.
prosper or
Yeah.
will thrive. And that is something people really don't think about.
Yeah.
I'm not even lying to you. Like, even we know so many of our friends who've done temporary relationships and they don't work out because it's impulsive moments where, like, yeah, I'm with a woman.
I feel like that my last relationship was me being there. I was totally unaware of understanding the other person's inner world and stepping in their shoes and seeing the world from their view and really understanding them. Well, of course, I did understand them deeper in my impulse
Yeah.
at the time, but yeah, like there needs to be that level of mindfulness of like, okay, I'm in this relationship for a specific
Yeah.
we're looking at a specific goal, and it's not like, oh, I'm in a
Yeah.
relationship because it's nice to be in
Yeah.
a relationship.
So it's very important to, when you sit down and be like, can I really handle a relationship right now?
Yeah.
Like, let's say if, for example, if you're a doctor working in the Navy or in the military, you're away for 6 months. You probably not even, you can't even communicate with your other partner. At that stage, do you want a relationship? No, you can't, because you'll be punishing the other person, or
yeah.
you'll be punishing yourself
Yeah,
indirectly.
exactly. Yeah.
So this is where you need to look back at yourself and be like, is this something that I can handle? The reason why even a lot of people are single is because in the way the world works right now, it's so different. People want trophy girlfriends. People want like a hot girl walking with them, but you can, all those, everything is going to fade. We're
everything.
all going to grow gray and it's all going to fade. You'll all have lumpy skin.
Yeah.
But what is the most important thing is both of your minds attracting,
Yeah.
both of you being there for each other. If today, if I didn't have one leg and my wife is there with me, that is when you know that she's there for you, not for like, oh, you not having one leg or a disability or something like that. That is how relationships should be. Because right now, what happens is people get married. If something, let's say, for example, let's say the man loses his job, he goes through a rough time, he's trying to do a startup, but he's not started up early, then the woman leaves him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because she's not patient enough to handle the issue. That's why it's very important to find someone
Who can actually
who can
deal
be
with that.
there for you.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
that's actually the reason for a lot of divorces is because people don't do that introspection
Yeah.
before they even get into the relationship. Like you said, like it's like, oh, yeah, I've got into the relationship and I have my arm candy. Everything's good in my life
Yeah.
now. And then you get married or whatever, and 3 years down the line, you actually realize, shit, this is an actual person, and they have things that you have to deal with, and you have things that they have to deal with. And when you were getting married, you did not consider any of that.
true.
And
How many friends or people do we know
Yeah,
that have gotten married and got divorced like this in a
just like
snap?
that. Yeah.
Or they're in the marriage
Yeah.
and their men are cheating on
Yeah.
them, or probably on a Saturday night.
And I think what's even sadder is that when you're even in that circumstance, instead of like realizing that, okay, there is a way to make this work, you just call it quits and you move to something new. I think that's
Yeah.
really such a sad part about that.
Yeah.
I was watching a video on porn addiction and the effects of what that has on men in general. What's kind of your take on porn itself?
I think it's the worst thing that people should do. I think, yes, we've all of us guys have gone through that phase where we watch porn and fab and stuff. But it comes to a point where it's literally you're watching, your head is empty, and you're just feeling this empty space of your sexual energy,
Yeah.
and you want to really understand that, hey, without watching porn, without doing all this, when when in movies when they say they're making love, they
Yeah.
don't say we're having sex.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that phrase and two phrases, right? We're having sex and we're making love is two different things. When you're making love, it means all about your sexual energy,
Energy
like going,
intertwining.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And then when you keep watching porn and all these things, it's something that you want in the back of your head, that you want this perfect illusion of how sex should be and everything.
Yeah.
But it's not.
Yeah.
All these guys are paid shit tons of money to put on a lot of makeup and hide all their flaws behind their face, or they go through surgeries to show that, or they have big things and whatever.
Yeah.
But when we keep watching, it's just an empty space just being created within your sexual energy, which is bad. And a lot of men think that because they keep watching porn, they always think they can get better. Right?
Yeah.
For the people who are not in like relationships and stuff, because they imagine this picture perfect woman, be like, this is how I want her, this is how she should be, and that's not how it works.
You start focusing on the looks rather than what's on the inside.
What about you? What do you think, like, in terms of?
So from what I was watching in like these videos, and of course over during the journey of my early 20s, right? With porn, you kind of get this instant gratification. The moment you fap and you're done, you're like, okay, cool. Like you lose this motivation to actually go out there and be the man that you need to be in life.
True.
You lose that motivation. The most important thing as an animal is to reproduce. So the moment you fap, you've kind of told your brain that I've done what I needed to do. So then biologically, your body just like drops its motivation, because it's like, okay, you're kind of done what you needed to do. You've reproduced, and now you don't need these things like motivation to go out there and work really hard to build a business to attract a woman, or you don't need to go out there and like meet a woman and court her. So then these things also lead to like a level of that impatience that you just spoke about. Like if you want a truly valuable woman in your life, you need to spend time building that relationship instead of just like, okay, one night stand. One night stand is basically like watching porn, isn't it? Right? So I think it's just very detrimental. You start looking at women like objects instead of actual people.
True.
Right? I think one of the biggest pieces of advice I wish I got in my early 20s is stop watching porn. It's horrible for your mental health.
True.
It's horrible for your connections with people. And we had this conversation a while ago, and I feel like, because we're helping men out there, I kind of have to open up about it. It did definitely affect my relationships, especially during times when we're getting like intimate. There's these expectations at the back of your head, which you've just mentioned, like sex needs to be this way. And then because your mind is just like consistently going there, it affects the way you perform.
True.
Right? So you're not even in the present moment. You're not even there with the person that you're in a relationship with. You're just like, but they were doing it like that, and I want to do it like that. I want to be like a porn star. When that fails, so for me, that element started getting into my head, and I never felt a sense of satisfaction. So then you start building resent, and now you start looking out at porn, and you're like, okay, my person's not like this. There must be someone out there who's actually like this. And then again, that goes back into the objectification of women, right? And now you're looking at hotness instead of them mentally.
True. And you're not seeking a mind connection.
You're not seeking a mind connection. So just biologically, porn is just messing you up so bad.
True. That's what I was telling you, like when you're having that conversation, and if you're addicted to all this stuff,
you can't.
Your only conclusion at that very moment is like you want to sleep with her. That's it. I mean, and that's what you're seeking. You're not seeking something greater than just the physical action of it. That's it.
Exactly.
But being single is not bad. I think
I like how you just went back to being single. I know it's not bad.
I think you personally, up for the past 2 years that I've known you, I think you personally have grown as a person, because you accepted a lot of your flaws. You accepted, these are my flaws, this is who I am as a person, and you're working on your flaws to be a better person. That is like a tick for me, because
Thank you.
Because you you actually looked upon yourself and be like, I want to correct some of my actions that
Yeah.
I'm doing. And then number two, when you're seeking for someone, you've been very smart and mindful that this is the kind of person that I want. Which I've seen. We've gone out for several nights. I'll be like, bro, do you want me to wing you up with this one? You'll be like, no.
Yeah.
And even if I wing you up with someone, you'll be like, hey, bro,
Like
that was bad energy.
That was bad. That was horrible.
Let's not do this again. And
Yeah.
I've also told you some of the people that you'd meet, I'll be like, bro, red flag,
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah.
Right?
We've had those
We had
conversations. Yeah.
With time, trust me, you will find the person because you've corrected all your negative actions. You've corrected things that would have gone wrong in a relationship, and probably what you learned from your past relationships. Probably be like, let's say, I'm just giving an example. Maybe you're not a good timekeeper. You're not good at living up to your word. For example, I'm giving rough example. But now, when you look back, you'll be like, these are the things. If I tell you I'm going to do this, you're going to do this.
Yeah, of course.
You know?
Of course. There's greater awareness in that.
And when you think about all these things, when you get married, at the back of your mind, I'm like, I wish I did it better. I'm not even lying to you. I wish I did it better. Because I came through a lot of toxic people in my life that pulled me down. And I'm like, a lot of toxic women as well. I'm like, oh man, I wish at that very moment I thought of it that, hey, this is where I cut off. Right?
Yeah.
I didn't. Because it was physical and I was enjoying it. One woman to another, one woman to another, one woman to another. This one's problems are still at the back of your mind, and whatever she didn't satisfy you, you go here, it's a bigger void filling up because those same problems are still here.
So like just baggage, you're carrying their baggage.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was actually something I was reading the other day. In fact, it's that book I've been recommending you all this time, The Way of the Superior Man. If you guys want to check it out.
Yeah.
They talk about like that sexual energy when you share it with someone who has like traumas. You kind of taking a part of their trauma with you, and then again you go and like have a one night stand with someone else. You're taking their trauma and you're giving them your trauma. Yeah. So like it's such a dangerous freaking game. True. You can't even realize it. Like
and you lose yourself.
You lose yourself.
You lose yourself.
Yeah. That's insane.
Yeah.
I feel like one of the things I would really say to like men out there when it comes to women, and even just the way I'm navigating through life with like business, finances, is being outcome unattached. So what I mean by that is a lot of us, just when the way I mentioned earlier, you know, like a lot of people build this pressure on themselves to want to meet a woman. Like if she's really cute, they go and approach and they want to say the right thing so that everything just like, oh, we can get married and everything flows properly because I said the right thing in the first. That's very outcome attached, right? And because of that, it just gives that energy of neediness. Even in business, when you're trying to, you know, get a client, you go for that meeting and you're just like, I want to get this business so bad. You're building that energy pressure on it. So when you're unattached to that outcome, that final outcome, and you just go and walk up to them, and it's just I'm going to see where this goes.
Yeah, be open.
Yeah, I'm going to be open. I'm going to share myself. If the person likes me, well and good. If they don't, well and good. Now you're unattached to any particular outcome. And like you said, you know, you can end up being really good friends. You can end up just meeting someone who has shared a valuable piece of knowledge, or you can end up meeting someone who's just a piece of shit and you're like, I'm never going to do that again, right? So, but you're just so unattached that now you're going into like these interactions with women with a lot more fun. Just, I guess, the last question that I have for you. We have friends who have really been having hard times with women, and you know who they are. But okay, for other men, like I empathize with that, right? I wish in school we were taught certain lessons.
Yeah.
We weren't. For example, like, you know, just over giving attention or the other person just not reciprocating. How would you, what kind of advice would you give other men out there who are going through the same thing where, you know, they think that they've only met one person and they're just like trying so hard for that person and that person is not reciprocating?
So I think this is where probably they've gone through a lot of past traumas, and they're like, okay, now I've met this new person, she's single. So what they do is they give everything of theirs to that person, probably the right way, the bad way, and you do. Let's put it clearly: you don't want to look desperate.
Yeah. You want to stand into
Yeah.
like your masculinity, right?
As well, you want to be there as a man, and also the moment you show you're desperate, it's a switch off for the woman. I've done it. I'm not even lying
I
to
think
you.
we've all done it.
We've all done
yeah,
it.
we've all done it.
And-
we've all been there.
And rejection is not nice
It's
for
not.
any man. It's like it puts down your morale. You feel super low.
Yeah, it's a huge dent.
Like there are times where I feel when I've been rejected and I feel low. So now I've learned that do not overgive. Also, don't say everything about you on the first day. Like let the other person also be a little curious about you so that the conversation keeps going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's how now over conversations, meaning like, let's say you met this Saturday, you're having a coffee next Saturday and dinners, dates, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Now your relationship is building.
Yeah.
So you're putting a piece of you
Every single time.
And the same thing goes for her. Like
Yeah.
you should be curious about her, where she's giving a piece of her
Yeah, every single time.
every single time. And that is now how, like all of us when we start relationships, why it works out is because that is how me and my wife practice it in a way that we'd have date nights, we'd go out, we'd sit, sometimes we'd talk crap.
Just to
And
get to know each other.
to know each other. Like she's very punny, like she'd throw puns at me and then with time now even I throw puns, right?
Yeah.
So it's like we learned how to balance each other off.
Yeah.
And this conversation and the curiosity of each other's mindset.
Yeah.
'Cause
Which you take time
Yeah.
to build that.
Yeah, and they say opposites attract, right?
Yeah.
It's a thing, yin yang. We've
Yeah.
learned it all our lives with this, just as this phrase that opposites attract.
Yeah.
But why do they attract? Because there's something that you don't know about the other person,
Yeah.
and this person doesn't know about the other person.
that's
and
what, It's kind of like a pull and push.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. That's
yeah.
amazing.
So I hope I make sense. But
You do make
Yeah.
sense. I
and
think
that is why, like, a lot of people, when they come off too heavy, it doesn't
it's
work out.
overwhelming.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Even
overwhelming.
for the woman, it would be like, hey, like how much can I take in for this first meet or first
Yeah.
night or the person I've met?
Yeah.
So you keep it neutral, keep it balanced, and also always remember to respect the other person. And yeah, it works out, man.
Yeah.
Like
I think at the end of the day, it's not like following a certain set of tactics.
yeah,
Like, okay, because there's those tactics out there of like, oh, match the size of her message or that kind of stuff. It's not all about that. It's about kind of the mindset shift that, okay, yes, I've met this girl who I think I might get into a relationship with, but I need to see, do they reciprocate?
yeah,
Right? And if they don't reciprocate, of course, there's that strategy. There's like a pull and pull strategy of like, okay, how can we get her to open up a little bit more? And you employ that strategy. But when you employ the strategy, you need to stand in your confidence that it's going to work out. We've talked about impulsiveness. When you're impulsive is when you're like, okay, I sent her a message, she hasn't responded in 3 hours. Here's another message.
Yeah,
And
true.
then
And
you
that
just
is what
keep doing-
happens.
That is what happens. And that's what scares the other person. Like, whoa, chill the hell out. I was watching TV, man. Like,
or I was with my family or something X, Y, Z.
why are you asking me like 10 million questions? Now I have to read through all of this. Like, it's way too much. So I feel like standing in your confidence in things will work out. And standing in your confidence that, okay, if I have a strategy, if my friends have given me a strategy on how this can work, listen to it. Because again, learning from experience.
So I mean, like the element of space. Trust
And the
me,
element of space.
it is very, very important.
Yeah,
Even
space.
for married couples, like
Yeah.
you need a boys' night, she needs a girls' night. Sometimes you'd be in the same, you want your space,
And you come
it's
back to
very
each other
important.
better,
And
right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And there's something that I saw on Facebook, why people who are 90 years old and they're still together, is they say they give each other healthy space. They respect each other. They give each other healthy space. So same thing when you're approaching a woman, and if she's seeking her space by, let's say, not responding to you for 1 hour,
Give her a space.
give her a space.
Yeah.
It's fine.
I love
It's
that.
normal.
I love that. And I think on
Yeah.
that note,
Let's give each
we'll
other
give you guys some space. And each other some space. We've done like 3 podcasts in a row. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys have found a couple of nuggets over here to apply in your life. And with that, we'll see you guys in the next podcast.
Yep. Like, share, and subscribe.